Hey guys, Disaster Daytona here. With the deck profile updates I promised you all, I told you I was going to be getting back on YouTube, doing videos, doing deck profiles, and just posting stuff that might help you all out with, well, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Life, I guess you could say, and with mine. So I'm going to give you the deck I took to Long Beach. I started out 4-0, going against Malefic Skills and 3 Inzectors. This build is very, very good against Inzectors. With the side deck, there's a lot of hate. Um, I ended up losing the fifth match because I got a game loss because I had another deck in my deck box. But that was my mistake. And after that, I faced Dino Rabbits and lost out to them. And I just ended up uh, just kind of dropping from the tournament after that. But without further ado, here is the deck that I took to Long Beach that got to table 6 at one point. Right. First, we have 3 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. You know what he does. He's the best dragon in the game. You don't run dragons unless you run him. Next, we have 3 Red Eyes Wyverns. I bumped it up to 3 because I realized that 2 was just, I hated drawing 1, so I bumped it up to 3 because I love dumping at least 2 with Future Fusion. Next, we have 3 Qualcomm Dragos who still wins games. I don't care what people say. You can chain call the Haunted. You can disrupt plays. You can do so much with this guy. You can lock down a good amount of decks out there with him. So I still think he's a must at 3. Next, we have 3 Masked Dragon. Still good. Still amazing. Versus Dino Rabbit versus Windup. Not so much versus Inzector, but I still only side 1 out against Inzector because there's still a lot you can do with him and manipulate him in that matchup. Against Rogue decks, he's awesome, and I just think he's probably one of the best recruiters in the game right now. Next, we have 1 Delta Flyer, which is one of your targets for Masked Dragon. He's your only tuner in the deck. He's the only tuner you need. He's the best tuner dragons have right now, so with him, you could use 2 of them. You could use 0. I like using 1. Next, we have our Exploder Dragon. He's the guy that gives you outs to those big monsters that you can't get rid of. He's an amazing card. I might bump him up to do just because the resurgence of Dino Rabbit. Well, not resurgence. I mean, there's a surgence of them. And he's awesome against Logia. Next, we have 3 Thunder Kings. Not as good this format. I might bump him down to 2. But he still is an amazing card. For the most part, hurts E-Heroes. He hurts Samurais. He hurts Karakuri. So there's a lot of not many of the main decks out there. Not even the Triforce. He hits windups. He hits Rabbit to an extent. He doesn't really hit Inzectors at all. But he's still a good card. So I'm not giving up Thunder King just as of yet. And finally, my 2 Max C's I replaced with Effect Veilers just because Max C doesn't seem as good as it used to. And with all the new stuff running around, it's all about negating effects this format. So Effect Veiler, I think right now is a better card. Next, we have our main star of the deck in Future Fusion. If you run dragons, you run Future Fusion. Dump 5 dragons in the graveyard. Do shenanigans. Next, we have 3 Pot Dualities. I still run 3 because a lot of times I get dead hands in this deck, and Pot Duality could be the things that get you that card you need. It could be the thing that gets you Future Fusion. It can do a whole bunch of stuff. It might be dead sometimes, but for the most part, it's alive. Next, we have 2 Gold Sarks. People say this card is slow, but don't believe them because if you don't run Gold Sark, then you're not going to get the Future Fusion a lot of times as fast as you would have, or any of your power cards for that matter. Gold Sark, Dragon decks, if you play them right, they can hold out for 2 turns, so Gold Sark is a boss card in this deck. It's awesome. Next, we have 3 MSTs. I used to run 2 MSTs and a Mind Control. I took out the Mind Control, seeing as how good as it was. MST is better at this point, I think, because if you get rid of their back row with dragons, you can get rid of any monster you want to. Next, we have the staples: Book of Moon, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, and Dark Hole. No explanation on those. For our traps, we have 2 Compulse. And it's not that I don't have Phoenix Chains. It's that I think Compulse, in my opinion, is a better card than Phoenix Chain. Yes, Phoenix Chain negates effects, but this card is so much more versatile. It's not prone to MST. It's chainable, and that's the thing I love about it. Plus, there's sometimes the monsters, they get big or they get in the way, and even with Phoenix Chain, you can't get rid of them. One of them being Hero Decks. This card lasts at Heroes, and I just love it when they think they have game with that top deck Future Fusion. Or Future Fusion, I mean Miracle Fusion. Alright, next we have 2 Call Haunted. I tried out 3, and I just drew it way too much. I think 2 is the perfect number for the deck. Call Haunted is an amazing card. It can be a +1. Heck, it can even go to a +2 if you use Scrap Dragon Food. So I think Call Haunted in this deck is amazing. I don't know if I would go any less than 2. Next, we have the Solemn Brigade. A lot of people are opting not to run this right now. It's a lot of life points, yes, but Solemn Warning and the Solemn Brigade in general, they are major game stoppers. They're major. They can make you break you. You have to play them right. Solemn Warning can be a +1 in so many situations. Solemn Judgment, not as much, but it can stop anything. It's Solemn Judgment. There's no explanation there. And then we have RTT. I get so much field presence. I don't think 2 Torrential is necessary. So 1 TT is good enough for me. Next we have the side deck. We have 2 Max Cs for the wind-up matchups and those various rogue decks out there. We have 2 Cyber Dragons. Karakuris, Machina. Cyber Dragon, he's a staple side. King Tiger for various matchups, mainly against windups and Insectors, even though I really don't like him against Insectors just because they can flip Dragonfly, or they could set Dragonfly attack into it and it'll still be able to use its effect. So I'm probably going to end up taking Winghu out. Mind Control, just because I took it out and I got to find another spot, see what works. 2 Chain Disappearance. Second MVP in this any side deck, really. It hits so many decks out there, you pretty much have to run 2 of them. Some people even main deck them. 2 Black Horns, because Dino Rabbits are annoying as heck. And this hits them hard. This walks up to Lakia, bends it over a table, and rapes it. So, Blackhorn, love Blackhorn. Next MVP of the side deck is Rivalry of the Warlords. It shuts down a lot of decks and makes it to where they can't do anything, walks down their field, and potentially is a -4. It's not going to be -4 a lot of time. I've probably done that once. But it makes them get rid of their monsters, and it makes it to where they can't summon them. And if they can't get rid of it, you can just build up to where you can go off. Next, we have 3 Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. If you're going to shut down Dark Worlds or Insectors, it's worth negating Red Eyes. Next, the extra deck, pretty standard. We got a 5-headed dragon, Chimera Tech, Leviair, awesome plays with Gold Sart, Zen Meister to flip down your Red Eyes, and for a level 4 exceed for Drago, since you can't exceed into a light monster or dark monster. Have number 17 Leviathan, Utopia, Acid Golem of Destruction, Orient Dragon, just because I like him in those situations where you don't want a -1 with Brio. He can get the job done the same way Brio does. Brio, of course. Ancient Fairy Dragon for the Dark World Gravekeeper matchup. This guy, just because he's a Spirit Reaper killer, and this deck does not have a lot of outs to Spirit Reaper, and when I get Delta Flyer, I usually end up going into this guy, since I don't run Red Archfiend Dragon. Black Rose, Stardust, Scrap Dragon, who you can abuse the heck out of in this deck. I would say that this deck can abuse them almost as much as Scraps can. And Trident Dragon, which is probably going to come out for something when I find it, because I rarely ever get Trident Dragon out. And even when I can, I don't want to. So, that's the deck. Tell me what you think. Show me your build. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'm in this to be a better player. I'm in this to get opinions from others. So, I'm sorry the video was so long. But take care, and I'll see you next time with the special deck that I've been working on for a long time now.